Okay, so I'm going to continue where I left off, talking about the beginning of the spiritual path. So when spirit starts to build within us and we start to feel inspired, um, it starts changing the content of our being. It starts to make our lives more spiritual, and we start to turn inwards more. We start to be more reflective and introspective and kind of consider the bigger picture of things, everything works together, how everything fits together, how we fit in everything, um, how things are shaped, how the world is shaped, why it's shaped the way it is. We start asking kind of more bigger picture questions, and then trying to figure out our place in this bigger picture and the significance of our life, and yeah, and all this kind of stuff. And we start to take these bigger questions more seriously because they start to be more meaningful to us because we feel like we just know that it's meaningful. We just have a greater sense that this is kind of the heart of meaning in these bigger questions and these deeper questions. And also these are the things that will actually make us happy or bring fulfillment into our lives. And we start to recognize this more clearly, and so it becomes more important to us, and we take it more seriously. And I guess this can lead to all kinds of changes in people's lives. They can go in so many different directions because of this, and it can lead to so many different things in so many different ways. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a constant deepening in spirit or the same degree of deepening. It can start in one way and deepen to a certain extent, and then lead us into something that kind of maybe takes us away from it for a while, and we kind of maybe plateau and we have some other thing going on, and maybe we'll go back to it later. Um, yeah, and not everyone is going to awaken to the same extent as everyone else. Um, yeah, everyone's like where they are, and that's just how it is. And uh, and I don't want to say that not everyone's meant to, but uh, not everyone does. Like awaken really deeply, and um, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing better or worse about any position that you can be in the degree to which you're awakened, or the things in which you're awake to. It's all just different stuff that you can be awake to. It doesn't have anything to do with um, making you a good person. I think when you awaken, you have the ability to be uh, a really good person. But I don't think we should see this as uh, becoming special, because I don't think anyone's any more special than anyone else. I think everyone is truly the same. Um, yeah, made of the same stuff, and I think people are special, individuals are special, um, but I think we can really get lost in the idea of becoming special and becoming different or better, and then seeing other people as not as good or like deficient in some way. And I really disagree with that. Um, I think if you get caught up in in this, you're getting caught up in personality and in seeing these differences. When I think the truth is the underlying common factor among all things, which in which the parts and the pieces and the surface and the personality is kind of irrelevant, and it's just an expression of the same infinite nature, which is uh, equally present everywhere because it's beyond space and time. It's just here. It has nothing to do with who anyone is as an individual. It's just uh, it's the nature of things everywhere. It's just nature, and you don't just get it or not get it or have it to a certain extent and not have it to a certain extent. It's everywhere all the time, and uh, yeah, and realizing this is about realizing the space between the distinctions we make constantly um, between things and among things. This is the common factor that's your underlying reality and um, perhaps only reality, the reality that is. Um, yeah. And so I think in my purpose in kind of delineating the spiritual path and delineating the structures of the universe, it's not about having to fully awaken. Um, I think the desire to fully awaken is at the heart of every human being, the heart of everything. Everything wants to be fully awakened, and this exists in a way that's beyond who we are as who we think we are and what we think of desire as. Um, it is the essentially the unmanifest code in the seed of a form uh, is engineered to produce fully enlightened being. And this is true everywhere and everything. This is just the heart of everything. It wants to be fully manifest everywhere. And the truth is that it already is. And I think that this reality that we call normal everyday life, I think is it's real, but it's also illusory. Um, and what was I getting at? Um, yeah, I want to describe these structures not so that everyone can commit themselves fully to being fully awakened, uh, but to just create uh, ease in traffic and in navigation um, wherever we are and wherever we want to be. Um, because human beings are full of different drives and different directions and different designs, and they're all just unfolding in the here and now. And I just want to help people navigate um, easier. I want to create more clarity so it's easier for us to get around, and so we can enjoy life more and get along better, and also so we can be more compassionate and caring and be more mindful of each other and have a a more joyful and more loving world. Um, yeah. So I just want to like kind of map this all out, kind of intellectually and but I would say not just intellectually. I want to when I speak, I want people to be able to listen to this. I want to really open up their minds so they can directly see and intuitively understand the, these subtle and apparent structures and relations of the universe. And I think ultimately my purpose is to help beings awaken and enlighten, but we enlighten from where we are, and um, enlightenment is something that happens through space and time, and uh, it's a very long and complex process. And so, yeah, this is just for creating a roadmap and creating a a blueprint. Yeah, and and I think another thing I want to add to this is I I don't think, like I said, I don't think people should commit themselves to becoming fully enlightened just because maybe that's the heart of everything. I think it's more important that people discover what's right for them, and also that they discover um, uh, and they deepen in their discovery of a sense of rightness um, that applies to their particular orientation in life in this moment. And I think, from my experience, everyone has their own unique direction and their own unique way of doing things. And I want to help people realize, I would call that like maybe Dharma in a pretty broad sense. Um, People are like, oh man, I really had all these ideas about this, and it was really exciting, but it really wasn't kind of, at the core of who I was. And once I figured that out, I just felt like that's exactly what I wanted to do, and I just knew it. And it didn't matter what it was; it just was at the core or heart of who I was, um, and it was just true. And so I want to help people find that truth, and I want to help people find truths, because I think we can discover our personal truth, and then we kind of can um, try and manifest it in a way that isn't in line with the truths of reality, or in, the truth that is the goodness, or that is goodness, and goodness for all, and goodness that's in line with the universe. And so I want to help people discover their personal truths and their core truth and their direction. And I want to help people see that the best way that they can manifest that and walk that path is to um, do so in a way that's in line with the all the various structures of the universe. And so, yeah, that's what I'm here to do in these videos. And yeah, so rock on. Um, and I think I'm personally really committed to kind of fully awakening. That's just who I am. I just want to be like fully awake, and I'm really passionate and really driven to do that. And I don't have all the answers, and I'm not all the way there. Um, at least in some ways, it's a complicated idea. There's a lot of different ways we can look at it. But I also feel really passionate about teaching that to other people, and to sharing my passion and awakening that passion in others, because I think it's really important. And I think there's a lot of people out there who who can gel with that idea, and I feel compelled to share it because I feel like it needs to be shared because of where we are as a species right now, and because of for a lot of different reasons. Uh, I think in a lot of ways we're on the cusp of a really great, profound awakening throughout our species. And so I feel like this awakening is moving through me, um, and I'm a conduit to share this with the human species. And it's just a force and a wave that's coming out of me. I am, I look like a wave, but I'm really, I'm a speck of water in a wave, which is the acceleration of human consciousness. And and I am, you could say I'm this speck of water in this wave, but then if you look behind what I'm saying, there's really a wall of water. There's a tsunami coming. And so um, that's kind of a deeper, kind of uh, dimension uh, to look at it, of the power coming out of me, and that I'm communicating, or that's flowing through me. And so I will focus a lot on deep awakening, because that's kind of where I am too as well, and I want to share that with people. I want to communicate that, and I want to participate in that, and I want to help other people realize that this deep, profound um, awakening. That's yeah, and uh, and I want to help people get through that. I want to create community um, and dialogue around that in every kind of way, because awakening is not individual. It's realizing the greater picture, which includes how we relate to each other, how we organize ourselves as a species, as a society, and how we how we do everything in society. So it's like such a huge thing, and awakening means transforming society in ways that are that reflect and are full of higher consciousness, and it goes so much further beyond in the individual personal experience of awakening. It becomes this living field and this living force that changes communities and changes landscapes. And so there's so much to talk about, and it's sort of all coming together right now as different ways of living are becoming more accessible, and as ideas are becoming spread out more and more accessible, and things are becoming more equitable in a lot of ways, and there's more ease to access these higher dimensions, which makes creating kind of a spiritual, ideal society more possible. And so all of that's kind of coming into view, and I think that's a lot of the people I want to interact with and I want to talk with are people that are interested in how do we actually create this community? How do we create this how do we create this wave on planet Earth in ways where it actually changes not just our inner experience and our consciousness, but it changes the landscape of the society we live in, um, and it starts to affect the structures of the world we live in. Um, and so those are the kind of people I really am excited to talk to more. And and that's kind of a long term, big picture approach to all this. Yeah. And so I want to facilitate all that stuff, and I want to create community and communication and about all of that stuff. Yeah. So, um, yeah, there's so much to talk about. And personally, I am super fascinated in all the details and in really um, refining perspectives so that we can be really precise about communicating and understanding the details of all the different structures of the universe. I'm interested in understanding them and communicating them and using them to uh, thoroughly and deeply awaken. And yeah, so yeah, um, there's a whole lot to talk about. Uh, yeah, trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about in this video. Um, yeah, I guess I just encourage you to figure out who you are, what makes you tick, and what's important to you. And I encourage you to try and communicate that within yourself and and in whatever way seems good or comfortable with you. And I encourage you to take maybe some initiative in that direction in self discovery and self realization. in any way that you can or feels good to you. Oops. Yeah, and encourage you to see kind of what happens and where you can go and just kind of maybe be open to things happening. Yeah. um, yeah. Anything else I want to talk about? Okay, maybe. um, I guess yeah. Another kind of beginner tip, which is something that stays with you, just in general, spiritually or whatever. I think it's really important to be in touch with your feelings, um, and this is kind of a part of the beginning, because our paths are unique to who we are as individuals, and we discover we discover the nature of who we are and of what we want to do with our lives through our feelings and through our understanding and how we feel about um, what we're perceiving. And so I really think that getting in touch with ourselves and learning how to be in touch with ourselves is a really good way and an essential way to begin unraveling, the path. And I think that the path can become so profound and so deep and so defined. And I think so much of that process is discovering how we feel and deepening our feelings and and learning how to listen to them and understand them and be guided by them, and also how to balance them with other faculties we have in healthy ways. Because it can be easy for some people to be really overwhelmed by their feelings. I think for everyone, um, it can be really easy to be overwhelmed by how we feel and to be misguided by our feelings. And our feelings are really complicated, and it's important to be really careful with how we feel, um, and to put a lot of thought and mindfulness into how we're feeling and why we feel that way and what are the components of these feelings. It's a really, really big, complicated process, and I encourage people to discover themselves through their feelings, but also to be really careful with how they feel and to be really mindful of how they feel and how our feelings can lead us in different directions, and to be really mindful of the kind of direction that we want to go in, that we really want to go in, not that might be easy or attractive, but one that is mindful and grounded and safe and considerate of others, our health, their health, our well-being, and their well-being. um, this awakening is a really profound thing, and it's really powerful, and um, it can get out of hand really easily. And I think it's really important that we as individuals be really careful with how we awaken and how we share it. And I think it would be really amazing if we could create dialogue and community that would promote this, and we could create culture that promoted a really good groundedness of sense and feelings. Um, they really thought things out thoroughly and felt things out thoroughly and grounded it in everyday life and in everyday realities and created culture and created um, systems and structures that reflected this thought out and felt out kind of consciousness and way of being.
And I really, really think it's important to do this because we have to take care of ourselves and we have to take care of each other. And we can only do this if we are careful with ourselves and with each other, and if we create systems that um, support us making decisions and acting in ways that are careful and grounded and mindful. And so these are all things to consider, because what we do affects everyone and everything. And the more compassionate we become, the more we realize how careful we need to be and how much we care about being careful and how much we care about the little details and how much we really really want to just get along and get along well and do that by being really careful and really loving and really mindful. Yeah. So as you continue to explore yourselves, if that's what you're doing, um, I hope that you can be careful and grounded and loving and kind. Yeah. So I will talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.